Okay, so today we are going to learn about chess. We will first start with the principal openings standards. So we are going to custom game, or we're just gonna go to pass and play. Yeah, we're going just to do pass and play. So pass and play, you can use this when you want to play with other players within your range. For example, you're playing with your friend in school, your house, so that's practical. Or you can use this to teach or train better, or to calculate better. Okay, so first things first is, what are the principal opening? The first principal opening or strategy or goal is to, of course, take the center. You can use it by playing e4, d4, knight knight f3, or knight c3, but the pawns are much preferably better because they impact a direct, while knight is a bit tricky to use in first move opening. So this is what we call rotate opening, and this is what we call Van Griet opening. This is what we call the King's Pawn opening, and this is what we call the Queen's Pawn opening. But sometimes we use other strategies to take over the center. For example, we play c4 or f4. f4 is what we call the bird opening, and c4 is what we call the English opening. So these are more patient, not striking at the center immediately, but a more patient move, attacking at the center at using a flank pawn. So again, flank pawns are your pawns not in D squares, D file, and E file. So this is practically the pawns in A2, B2, C2, F2, G2, and H2. So those are your pawns which are called flank pawns. But again, you must always prevent things from using pawns like this in openings. Why? That is too far from the center, or it's too far. It's already in the far flank pawn. So avoid that. Avoid using that. Mostly this one, the grab opening. This is the worst opening. Why? Because if you play that and then you play g4, then e4 by the opponent, then f3, that is the worst move of the opening. You get checkmated in 2 moves. So that's very, very bad. So you must not do that. So again, let's focus on the opening strategies. Okay, so again, what we recommend is e4 or d4 preferably, and you can also use c4 or f4, the bird and English opening. So let's focus on the e4 course. Of course, this pawn is used to attack the center by controlling the d5 and e5 squares, f5 squares. So, and it also prepares the development of the queen towards the diagonal of d, e, f, g, d1 up to h5 square. So also, you are preparing to develop your bishop on f1 towards practically b5. Yes. So that is the main purpose of that move. Well, there is a lot of countermeasures that black can use. You can use the King's Pawn opening as well, the classical variation or the open game. You can also use the Scandinavian defense, or you can also use the Caro-Kann, the Sicilian, the Aljokin's defense. There's a lot of defense that you can use here. Also the French defense, a lot. But you most likely see this move. Okay, so there are two main options again here. It is to develop your knight to c3, which is what we call Vienna opening. Defense, this is a more passive opening, but it defends your position well. And what we call also the King's Knight opening. It's what we call from g1 to f3, the knight. It controls the center, it attacks the pawn. But here, there are a lot of very bad openings that black can do, and you can use some tips and tricks to them. So we're just gonna focus first on the classical variation from e4. So this is our first course about the e4 course. So for example, the Damiano opening, this is the worst of all of them, I think so. One of them is also I forgot what the name of this opening, but it's also very bad. The natural move is of course c3, c6, and then there is Ruy Lopez, there's Italian. Yeah, those two are the main lines here. You cannot blunder your bishop like that, that's very bad. Or you can also go for 3-9, but that is boring, of course, because you're just going for a draw when you are actually using that. So I prefer Italian game and then going for the Gyuko piano. You can see that like this. It attacks the center. You attack, gain tempo. If this goes there, then take. And again, you're gonna lose some tempo here. If you just trade this off, you win a piece. So you cannot do that because there's only one defender. Yeah, and then you will just kick this bishop out. You gain some tempo. Again, attack the center. Yeah, this is just devastating for black. Just go back. There's nothing to attack here anyway, so just castle. And look at this. How much better is white right now? Like all of this just in the first rank. Knight not in its perfect place while you are preparing to castle. You already castled, and your opponent, his knight cannot go its super primitive square, its best square. Cannot go to f6. So that is very, very not good for black. So it's just